from the Zenith. Is it university now? Or
Yeah,
University College?
No, it's a University College.
University College.
Yes.
Okay. So he lectures too. He practices. If you have a problem, he would help you at a small fee. How are you?
The Lord is good, my brother.
Well, it's nice to see you this morning.
Thank you, my brother.
Well, let's start off with, because I was just telling my listeners that you made us an offer we couldn't reject, a small offer that he has offered volunteer to help us some education on the Public Procurement Act, because it seems we've been doing lots of discussions on it based on the work Fourth Estate has done. So let me start first by asking a question of when the word procurement is used in terms of the law that governs it, especially in the public space. Exactly what does it mean?
Okay, so first of all, to answer that, the word procurement basically means to buy.
To buy.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you go to Mokola Market to go and buy food.
Okay.
To go and buy pencil. To go and buy coat.
Okay.
The word procurement simply means buy.
To buy.
Yes.
Okay.
Or technically to purchase.
To purchase.
Yes.
Okay.
But if we are coming to the position of the law, then we say to procure.
To procure.
But procure is more technical than the normal English language, which is the purchase or buy.
Okay.
Now, before the current law was promulgated, that is Act 663,
okay,
as a country, we've never had a parent law
okay,
that governed all purchases, all procurement issues in this country until we had the Act 663.
Okay.
So what the Act 663 basically seeks to do is to be able to regulate all purchases or procurements that are done with the state funds.
Okay.
So that at the end of the day, value for money and accountability would be achieved.
Okay.
So if we say procurement, we are basically saying that any state institution, any public office cannot buy any or everything without being regulated as what ought to be done.
Okay.
So that is basically when we say procurement or PPA, that is what it seeks to cure.
So as long as you are buying with public money,
yes,
the money that belongs to the people of the Ghana,
yes,
the state,
yes,
you have to follow this law.
You are under legal obligation to follow it. You cannot do anything outside this law.
Is it a matter of quantum? Like, is it everything that you buy that has to...
I mean, we have what we call ceiling or the capping. Okay. There are certain payment or purchases that you do. In fact, before that is done, we have what we call ETC.
Okay.
That is the body, that is the entity tendering committee.
Okay.
So this committee is constituted and they are tasked with the responsibility. Okay. That, look, let's say, assuming Radio Gold is a public institution, say Radio Gold is supposed to purchase machines that say will worth 200,000 Ghana cedis. Okay. So that committee is to ensure that value for money, as far as that purchase or procurement is concerned, is adhered to. Okay. So this committee would, as it were, go into the market. Don't forget that these committee members, they are just not ordinary people.
Okay.
They are lawyers, they are people with procurement background, they are people with the auditing background who understand the system. They understand how it operates. Okay. So these people, when they are constituted, they always have a chair or the head of the committee. Okay. So they go into the market. First of all, the question they will ask is, how much do we have? How much are we mandated to procure? Okay. Okay. What are we going to do? Who are those in the industry? So when it comes to procurement, there are three major things you can procure. Okay. Number one, you can procure goods. Okay. You can procure services, and then you can procure work. So you have an occasion where, or a situation where what is going to be procured is not a good.
Okay.
It's not, they are not goods that you can
Okay.
just walk to the market and they are services.
Okay.
And so if they are services, the entity or the committee is supposed to go into the market or the industry to, as it were, convince itself to say that, look, what we are going to purchase, it is only radio gold that has the expertise to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, and that is the reason why they are likely to move with the traditional position of the law.
Okay.
That is the competitive tendering, and say that we are going for sole sourcing or we are going for single sourcing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I see. That's interesting. So you said 3 things can be procured
Yes.
under the law.
Yes. 1, service,
Goods, services.
goods, or work.
Okay. So goods, services, or work. Those are the things that can be procured under our procurement laws. Now, what's the difference between services and works?
Okay, so services, sometimes you can, for example, the cathedral, the National Cathedral. You have a situation where we were told in this country that David Ajayi, the one who drew the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was providing more of services. I mean, as a consultant.
Okay.
That is his area.
Okay.
And some of those things, when it comes to people with the expertise, it's not everybody.
Okay.
It's not everybody. So the entity committee would have to go into the market and see who is this person, or which companies in the system have what it takes to, as it were, be awarded this contract. And there are a lot of factors the committee will look at. Number one, they will look at the company.
Okay.
So procurement is not awarded to just individual. Normally, it's a company.
Okay.
They will look at that company. They will look at the management of that company. They will look at their finances, because there are occasions where contracts or procurement projects are awarded, and you should have that financial muscle as a company to start to pre-finance before government will say that, okay, and the payment from government is structured. Okay. Maybe they can say that before you take off, we'll give you, say, 1/10, or as you in the middle of the project, we'll go, and before the second payment or other subsequent payments are made, government will have a technical committee that will go for inspection of what you have done, and once they are satisfied, then they will say that, okay, let's go with the second tranche of payment. So it's a whole process that has to be followed.
Okay. So let me, just so that I clarify, some clarity on this matter of works and services. So if, let's take the presidency itself, big place. They are looking for someone to do cleaning services.
Yes.
So I have put services alone. So that's a service that they are offering.
Right.
Okay. But if they need to put up a new structure, does it goes under works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And the key thing here is it's just not a work. Because one of the entity's responsibility is to ensure that whoever the project is awarded to, right, has what it takes. Okay. Because at the end of the day, the essence of the act is to have value for money.
Okay.
Okay, so you just don't award contract when you know that the person doesn't have what it takes to, as it were, execute the project or the contract.
So the basic aim of this law is to ensure that the people of Ghana get value for
money.
Every penny spent.
Absolutely. And you are able to account. I don't know whether you watched, I think yesterday or 2 nights ago, I watched PAC, Public Accounts Committee, where the director of procurement at Defense.
I think that was even yesterday.
Okay, right. Yeah. Where he gave, he used the word suggested, okay, but the understanding that I had that the committee had was he ordered.
Okay.
But he said he didn't. He advised. But if you look at even the advice he gave was so alien to the rules of the game.
Okay.
You understand that? So, first of all, before one assumes that position as a head of procurement department in a particular institution, you might have read the course, you might have done that, you must understand what it means, how it operates. Okay. Otherwise, you
need to understand the law to occupy such
a position. In fact, when you are head of procurement in a particular institution, in my opinion, you at 663 must be just here. You should appreciate it. You should understand. Because at the end of the day, the bus will stop with you.
Okay.
If you look, you see clearly yesterday the demeanor from the chair. He's really right away he said that he was recommending the director for a prosecution by the AG. All right, because over the explanation that he gave, you could not really understand what actually engineered that decision or that advice that he gave.
Okay.
And so much money, from what I heard yesterday, about 4.8 million. That is not for children. You understand that? So for you to give that advice, as he rightly put it, for you to give that advice for that money to go down the drain, that's a big issue. Big issue. And let me also say that a lot of procurement issues that we have in this country, it might not be that the individual cited in the industry or in the process, it might not be that they personally, as it were, had taken money or embezzled money, so to speak. But because they did not have the expertise, they don't really understand what it means. So some of the things that they don't even have to approve, some of the things that they have to peruse well, they overlook it. And at the end of the day, the state will suffer.
And everything has to be done guided by this law.
Yes.
So if you act outside this law,
yes,
you'll be in trouble.
Absolutely. In fact, there are occasions, and I like this question. The truth of the matter is that it is not possible that the entity will always get it right.
Okay.
It is not possible. Sometimes you will go into the market, you survey the market, and you are very much convinced that this is the right company to execute this project. And you award a contract. But in the process, there'll be a mess somewhere. But the thing here is that you should be able to satisfy yourself that you are within the law.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, if somebody is to chase you, he will chase you based on the law.
Okay.
The law says this. Did you do it? Once you have done it, then there's no question for you to answer. But if you are not able to satisfy the law as to what you ought to do, then what it means is that the law will chase you and will come after you.
So you must always act within the procurement law.
Absolutely.
Okay. So give us an idea. You were just trying to paint us a picture of what happens typically. What is supposed to happen? Because you talk about the entity tender committee.
Right.
Okay.
So basically this is what happens. If, for example, a procurement is to be done.
Let's say we are buying water.
Good.
For a state institution.
Very well. So you are buying, say, water worth, say, 100,000. What will be done, first of all, a committee will be constituted.
Okay.
And when that committee is constituted, the committee is given the do's and don'ts. Don't forget that the members of the committee, they are not lay people. They are experts.
Okay.
So if they are supposed to do 100,000 a procurement or purchase, this committee will sit there and say, okay, when it comes to the water industry, who are those? What are the companies that, as it were, can do this job? If they are going to go by the competitive tendering process, which is the normal thing that is done. The competitive tendering process, that is to say that now they will open it up to the public by advertisement. They will advertise the purchase or the procurement process that they are going to go through. Now, when they do the advertisement, interested and qualified companies will apply. Okay, they will bid for the project or the contract. When they bid for the project, now the committee will sit again and do shortlisting.
Okay.
So, for example, the practice is they will do like 3 out of the several companies that will apply.
Okay.
They will do 3. So when they do 3, they will go back into the 3 and pick the best one out of the 3.
Okay.
When they pick the best one, they will write to that qualified company and say that, well, upon our ABCD, we've realized that, or we've come to a conclusion that you are the most qualified, therefore the contract is going to be awarded to you, and all back and forth. Now, when the contract is awarded, the contract will be awarded in stages, depending on what is to be procured. Okay. So they will tell you that, well, we are going to give you, say, the amount is 100,000 Ghana cedis that we are supposed to pay. But first of all, we will pay, say, 40,000 out of the 100,000.
Okay.
When the water is delivered to the site, we'll pay the rest. Or I mean, there is always negotiations. There are negotiations in the project or in the whole process. So when that is done and the work is executed, then the rest of the money is paid. The purchase aspect is very simple. But if it has to do with provision, or you are providing services like road constructions and what other complex situation, then it becomes more tedious because then you have technical people representing government who have to visit the site from time to time to satisfy itself that what this person is doing, because if it has to do with road construction or building, you don't have to wait for the contract or the building to be done before you say that you are going to do inspection. So first of all, they will go the foundations, the foundational stage, they will go there and say, well, you are supposed to do this number of iron rods into the soil. Okay, you've done that, we are satisfied. Then they will give you the go-ahead, proceed to the next stage. So that is done systematically all the way till
the supervision aspect of it.
Good.
Yeah, but at what point in time would you say the procurement process has terminated? Because in terms when the work takes off, I'm not sure it's the same procurement entity that will be responsible for ensuring that the work is done properly. At what point in time would you say the procurement process has terminated?
Okay, so there will be two grounds.
Okay.
Number one, if there's a breach.
No, I mean that at what point in time would the procurement process end?
Oh, when the work is executed.
When the work is executed?
Yes.
So it is not when you have awarded the contract?
No, because you are not just awarding contract. When the contract is awarded, you are supposed to ensure that whatever you have awarded is done.
Really?
That is why supervision comes into play.
So the work is part of the procurement process?
Yes, because you are not just procuring paperwork.
Okay.
That is why you have technical people. Okay, so you award a contract and you have to make sure that whatever you have awarded will meet that criteria.
Okay. Execution is part.
Absolutely.
Oh, I see.
Otherwise, who will execute it? The contract is awarded. You have to ensure that whatever you have awarded for is the terms are adhered to.
We've been hearing about, in fact, we've heard about sole sourcing, single sourcing, selective, restrictive tendering.
Yes.
Then there's a competitive tendering.
Yes.
How many types of procurement are allowed under the law?
So we have about 3 or 4, depending on where you are coming from.
Okay.
Now, the first one, which is the general or the normal one, is what we call the competitive tendering. Competitive tendering is where you announce, or you advertise on the website of PPA, and you also do a publication in the dailies to attract or to invite companies to bid for the contract. Now, that letter that you have written to them is what we call tendering. So when you tender, then they will come and then, as it were, bid for the contract. So that is competitive tendering. That is a normal thing. That's a general rule. And then we also have what we call sole sourcing. So before sole sourcing, I'll come to single sourcing. Single sourcing and sole sourcing, they are not the same. The single sourcing simply means that you have other companies in the industry. But you have decided that you are not going to do the normal competitive tendering due to the circumstances around the whole purchase or procurement, but you single-handedly pick one out of the several companies that exist. Then we have what we call sole sourcing. Sole sourcing normally will come when you don't really have a competitor. You don't really have a competitor. It's just, the word is exclusivity. You have only one person or one company that after going through your survey or going into the industry, you've realized that this is the only guy so far who can do A, B, C, D. Or this is the only company whose expertise is on this field. And therefore, if that happens, the committee will write. There's a process. The committee will officially write to PPA board and say that this project that we are supposed to do, under normal circumstances, we should have gone through the tangent of competitive tendering. But going through the market, we don't really have people who can compete with this. So we are seeking for that approval from the board to give us the right to go through the line of sole sourcing.
So in this case, it seems to me that there's a confusion of two different terminologies.
That's correct.
So you're saying that what we should be discussing in terms of what Fourth Estate has done, from your explanation, is single sourcing.
Yes.
Not sole sourcing.
Good, because the report that they had come up with, the question I keep on hearing people say sole sourcing. But the question we should be asking, number one, is the companies that were awarded the contract at the time of the award, were there other companies that were in the industry? If there were other companies that were in the industry, but the committee decided that irrespective of these other companies in the system, we are going to award the contract to a particular company, then it cannot be sole sourcing. We can only call it a single sourcing. But if the contracts that have been awarded to this particular company or companies, they are the only, or that particular organization is the only organization that has the expertise, to, as it were, provide that service, then we could not have used the word single sourcing, but it's sole sourcing.
I see. So that's an interesting mix that we've been doing.
That's it.
And you're saying that either of them takes different forms.
Yes.
So if I decide to procure single source, what do I need to satisfy myself? What do I need to do to not be in breach of the law?
There are a lot of factors. So, but the key thing you have to do is to write for approval. That's a key thing.
So you have to justify it.
Yes. You have to justify. And when you write to the PPA board, you should attach documentation, reasoning, why you think that you should be given the mandate, you should be given the approval to go through that line, because, and there are a lot of factors. Number one, when the procurement had to do with some level of urgency,
some level of urgency.
Yes. If, for example, what you are going to procure, you have to do it within the next few, as it were, days or weeks. And if you go through the competitive tendering, you might not have the time to do that. Then you write to the board and say that, look, we are supposed to do this one this way, but looking at the urgency of it, we couldn't have. And I'll give you one typical example. When NPP was in power, there was a time that the Minister of Health, Ajimamenu, he purchased some PPEs. And when he was in Parliament, his explanation was that, look, at the time that we went on that line,
I think that was the vaccine. Was that the vaccines that became famous?
Good. Yes, at the time that we did what we did, we didn't have the time. And if we had gone through the normal process, a lot of Ghanaians would have been in trouble. So we needed to take that decision, as a result of the pressure on us as a state. So there are certain things that you have to purchase that you don't have the time to go through the publication where you invite people to, as it were, apply and all that. Another reason could be or is for national security reasons. So, for example, you are going to procure some ammunition for the military. Or the security agencies.
Or maybe even a software for the Bank of Ghana.
Thank you. And you wouldn't want to make it so open, because you see, once, it's a very small world. It's a very small community. Once the publication is done and people begin to read, now they'll spread the news. And say that, oh, Charlie, there's something, these people, they want to do this, and we have a lot of hackers and these people around. By the time you could say Jack, they will take advantage, and then before the procurement is done, they might have done what they had intended to. You understand? So when it comes to issues of security, you might not have to do the competitive tendering. You have to go on that target, and it's allowed. Again, another reason is what we call compatibility.
Okay.
Compatibility, or what we call standardization.
Okay.
So, for example, Radio Gold, you have a particular specification of machines that you use. Okay. And when you went into the market, it is only one or two companies that are into that. Okay. There will seriously be no need for you to go through the competitive tendering. No need at all. Because you are not just doing a one-time purchase or procurement. Maybe you are doing part one this year. Part two, you might do next year. And therefore, you will just come into that contractual agreement with a particular company and say that, look, say, or boss, or A, B, C, D, we are taking this consignment this year, and next year we'd like you to give us this. So in order for conformity to prevail, you will stick to one particular organization to provide, because subsequently, since they are into production of that item, it just makes sense that you do the part one and part two, you continue accordingly, so that you don't have discrepancies when it comes to the machines or the there's a word for it, the specs. Okay. So there are a lot of factors that actually would lead to a decision of whether we are going through competitive tendering or single or sole sourcing.
So under the law, because in essence, when you listen to this debate over the procurement, but before I come there, there's one other term that has been used constantly. Is it selective or restrictive tendering?
Yes.
What's the right terminology? Or both?
It depends on where you are coming from.
Okay.
But that
both apply.
Yes.
Okay.
But that could fall under the sole.
Okay.
Because you are restricted, it means that you don't have room to operate. Okay. There's a serious restriction. So you go by that. You understand that. But you see, the point that I think cannot be overemphasized is the public appreciation of certain decisions that are taken. You see, I am of the opinion that we need to read more. We need to ask more questions before we draw certain conclusions. Because we have come to that level or that stage in this country that everybody is in a hurry to constructively destroy or criticize.
Constructively?
Destructively. To destructively criticize. Instead of criticizing constructively. You know, there are two differences. The difference is that I am constructively criticizing Sena, and I'm not criticizing Sena because I hate him, but I'm constructively criticizing you because I want you to do better. And when you reason up with me on my criticism, you appreciate, Lawyer David, actually, he means well for me. It's just like you go to court and you read a judgment by my lord or my lady. Even though you have lost the case, if you are a level-headed lawyer and you are not driven by emotion, you say, this judge has made a lot of sense, even though you've lost the case. But unfortunately, in this country, we don't go by the constructive. We go by destructive. And destructive criticism is where, because I don't like Sena's face, is because what I am even criticizing Sena for, I have not even read, I don't even know what the whole issue is about. But because I don't like you, or because something ensued between you and another person, and the person is my friend, then I'll just jump on Sena and say, look, my brother, the way you behave is not right. So I think that we should appreciate the law better and then ask questions before we get into the arena of destructive comments and criticisms.
Because I think, because I don't know if you hold the same view. I think sole sourcing has taken some battering from our politics.
Yes.
And now, if you hear the word sole sourcing, there's a tendency to always say the person intends to be corrupt.
That's the thing.
Is that and also, do you get the sense, and we're just talking about the use of terminologies, that our politicians keep mixing up two different things and having a debate on it and refusing to listen to anybody on what the right terminology should be? Because I heard someone try to correct others that it's single sourcing. What you're talking about is single sourcing, once you've established that there are other people, companies capable of doing the job.
That's it.
Then it's single sourcing. But we are still going on the tangent of sole sourcing.
Seriously speaking, my brother, I think that with all respect to our members of parliament and some politicians, they are not reading.
Okay.
They are not reading at all. And when you have a situation where the goal of my party supersedes that of the interest of the country, then you have a problem.
Okay.
The goal of my party supersedes the interest of my country, you're going to have a problem that we have today.
Okay.
Because sometimes you listen to a member of parliament, you listen to a politician who is supposed to know better, and for whatever reason, my brother, he will say things that sometimes you ask yourself, is this guy an honorable? Is this lady an honorable? Does he really understand what he's talking about? And my point is that, Charlie, we don't have it all. Where you are not sure, ask. Where you are not sure, ask. But for you to pretend like you are a reservoir of knowledge and you come and mess up, So when I heard the word sole sourcing, what do they really understand sole sourcing? And is sole sourcing criminal? And the answer is no. Sole sourcing is not illegal. But if you listen to the narrative being painted today, sole sourcing is not illegal. Once the committee or the body goes through the process and satisfy itself, first of all, by going to PPA board for approval, and then they've been given that approval to go through saying, what is wrong? And the interesting thing, as we go back and forth on the conversation, nobody had mentioned the presence and then the role of PPA board. Because sole sourcing, if that is the case, sole sourcing couldn't have been executed without the approval of PPA.
Okay.
And PPA should be satisfied that this proposal that is brought to me or to us for approval under the circumstances, if we go through the tangent or the road of sole sourcing, it will help us. Okay. Or if we go through, how do you call it, single source, it will help us. You understand that? So there are a lot of things that, my brother, like you rightly said, we don't really understand. And interestingly, those who don't understand are those who pass a lot of commentaries on the subject matter.
In the case of Big Push, you say what we are discussing single sourcing.
Yes. If there were other companies that existed, right, and then the committee decided to go for one particular, it couldn't have been sole sourcing. It's a single sourcing. Yes.
Very, very, very interesting. I think we have to wrap this up.
No problem.
Yes. And to do that, I'm wondering, and I'll ask you this direct question based on what you're hearing from Fourth Estate.
Right.
Do they have a point based on what they've put out? Yes. If you replace the sole with single, and the question they are raising is, but they are talking about a political promise that was made that they believe is not being kept. Do they have a point on that? But is there also a problem with the use, let's say, sole sourcing aside, with the use of single sourcing?
So first of all, we have to look at the legality of the terms.
Okay.
And once the terms are legal and they can be used, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
I think, in my candid opinion, respectfully to the Fourth Estate, I think they are looking for unnecessary relevance.
They are looking for unnecessary
relevance. Because if a political promise is made or has been made, whatever the person or that political party had done, is there anything illegal under the circumstances of the operation of that political party? And once it is not illegal, why do you waste our energy and time?
But should we not take up people? Okay, So anyway,
So you see, you that's why I use the word constructive and destructive criticisms.
okay.
If for any reason, whatever approach that was adopted, if Fourth Estate is able to say that, look, because of A, B, C, D, the country has lost this, or there's that probability,
Okay.
then it will cause for us as a country. But for you to just say that sole sourcing was applied, when in actual fact, from where I see it, is single sourcing. So what are we supposed to be doing now? No, what are we supposed to be doing?
I see.
No, you are supposed to be asking me a question.
Okay.
But this one I'm asking you, what are we supposed to be doing? Are we, and I like the approach by His Excellency the President.
Okay.
He said, well, this is a conversation that has come up. He has tasked his office and the Minister of Roads, Honorable
Kwame
Abuja, to respond to the allegations and the issues that have been raised. I think it's premature for us to comment on that. We will wait for that detailed response to come. Then we will juxtapose the detail or the report with what the Fourth Estate said. But I think that there are serious issues that we need to spend time on some of these insignificant comments in the media space.
I see. Lord, thank you.
You're welcome, my brother.
Lord David Olaga is a private legal practitioner, also a law lecturer. Join us on in studio to share with us some education on Ghana's procurement law and how it applies. Well, we need to do some small business. And we thank you to that.